you had the time to see who I am. I'll just try to tell you, I don't know if you realize, but law really hasn't entered the 21st century. We still do things like we did 200 years ago. I try to understand why this is, because recently there is an influx of this term legal tech, like technology is finally going into law and or law is finally getting in line with technology, but you'll see that it's not really that simple. I'll firstly tell you some things that you can or don't agree with me. Last time I did this similar lecture, there was one disagreement on this fact. First of all, law is boring. Does anyone agree or disagree?
Totally agree.
I'm a lawyer, yeah, it's really boring. The second thing is law is slow. I don't know if you realize that, but you know, someone kills someone and then in 10 years you hear like, yes, he was convicted after 10 years. And we are all, Nazareth, and we are all used to things happening quickly, especially in this blockchain business, you know. I was at one conference, there was Tadej Slapnik, I don't know if you know him, he was a Slovenian minister of something, he was in the blockchain thing. And he says that there's a saying in Slovenia, they're quite forward in blockchain, that 1 month of real life is like 12 months in blockchain. It's like, it happens 12 times the faster. However, in law, what you have is like this. I'm not letting you translate it twice, you have to do it once and then you lose a month. And law is actually too slow for the real world.
Did he tell you the real reason for it?
Sorry?
Did he tell you the real reason for it?
Again, I didn't hear you, sorry.
Did he tell you the reason behind it?
Why he thought it was 12 times faster in blockchain?
Why the law is never happening or why the law is so slow?
I really don't know. This is just my as a lawyer, I think it's the law is really slow. I don't know why it is this way.
She was asking whether the person that you were speaking with told you why the project that you were pushing for is never happening.
Oh, you mean about the actual project before?
Right?
Yeah, but I mean, he said that the law is
Who he? No. He just said that the saying that 1 month of real life is 12 months in blockchain. This is mine. Yeah. I just think the law is slow. If you're free to disagree.
If you take a look at Malta, they're issuing pretty much laws again.
Daily.
I mean, they already have 4 laws.
That's issuing law. I'm talking about actually, you know, practicing law. I don't know, you're a lawyer? I mean, okay, we'll come to that, but you know, we still send physical mail that travels for days.
I agree.
You know, it's 2019, we're at a blockchain conference, and tomorrow on Monday I have to print out something that will go to court and they will scan it back into the computer. That's what I'm telling you about. Another digression, do you know that in Dubrovnik, where I'm originally from, they don't have their own central post office. When you send something from Dubrovnik via post to Dubrovnik, it goes first to Split to get sorted out, which is 210 kilometers here. And then they sort it out and return it to Dubrovnik. So if you are a lawyer in Dubrovnik, it takes you like 3 days to deliver something to court. That's what maybe that's Croatian problem, but I thought it was general. And finally, if you take out of the equation that the fact that you're using computers, practicing law hasn't changed in ages. You know, we still go to courts, people still come to your office, you sit, you offer them coffee. Well, that's nice, but it really slows things down. I'll just go quickly through this. These are some things that I've identified are really changes of the 21st century. You know, all the employment models are dying. People are demanding shorter duration of college. I've heard that recently, that people don't want to go to college for 5 years. It doesn't make sense. They see how rapidly things are moving, and in 5 years, who knows the thing that you're studying, will it be relevant? For instance, I would have never studied law if someone told me it would look like this. Like, there are really better things to study, honestly. Yeah. Also, you know, we're all here because someone thought in 2009 that capitalism is due for renewal. I recently came across a piece, I don't know if you read it, by Nick Hanauer. He's a gazillionaire, and he wrote a piece called "The Pitchforks Are Coming." I don't know if anyone wrote it. He said he's a member of 1% or something, he says, and he wrote a letter to his fellow billionaires saying pitchforks are coming, like people with pitchforks and torches are coming for us because the inequalities are really unbearable. You should read it, really nice. This is the things that we are experiencing. We're talking much about these things. the self-driving cars and Internet of Things and blockchain and artificial intelligence. However, meanwhile, we in the legal kingdom, this is what I told you, communication is still done by means of physical mail. We send physical mail in the 21st century. I will never be able to understand this, why we still have to do it. And this example is actual Croatian example, because in order to deliver to something to court, you send it by physical mail, but they scan it and return it to the computer. But you can't send it from one computer to another computer. Still, I mean, you have some like pilot projects, but nothing important. Courts operate by holding hearings. This is all, I don't know if you ever have any experience with courts, but in my 10 years that I've been a lawyer, I have never been to a court hearing that something actually happened there. This really happens for no reason, other than charge people money, you know, your clients, because you went to court. But really nothing ever happens at court hearings, and that is the first thing that should be, you know, abolished, because there's no sense of it. Everything should be done in writing. Finally, law offices, as I said, provide services the same way they did for the past 50 years. Everything looks the same. We did no progress. And this is why I'm really afraid for the profession itself. I don't know how long it will last. Now, why this happens? One reason is obviously monopoly. You have to go to court, and like you can't opt and say like, I don't care what court says. Well, court cares about you, and if you don't agree, they will find a way to make you do something. There is another thing that is the arbitration. I don't know if you heard it or ever experienced the arbitration. You and I can just pick Ivan to be the judge in our matter. The only thing is that you have to do it beforehand. So if you and I got into a fight and I said, I'm suing you, you're not going to say, well, let's talk about Ivan settling our dispute. You're just going to say, okay, sue me, we'll go in court and so on. So arbitration never really got. It's some big stuff, yeah, but regular matters still taken to court. Now there's this mention of what they're calling legal tech. There are two things that usually come up. One is the artificial intelligence, and the second is blockchain or smart contracts. They call it the A and B of legal tech. And as you'll see, they are getting some traction. For instance, this happened really recently. There is an Israeli startup. It's called Law Geeks, I think. And they found 20 really top lawyers from USA to go. I don't know if you know what sifting is. Sifting is a process of going through documents and searching for things that are not favorable for your client. We do it all the time. It takes so much time. It's really exhausting because the contracts, serious contracts, have like 50 pages. Whether that makes sense is a question. I've heard that when I think Pixar or Disney acquired Pixar, the entire contract was on 2 pages or something like that. I always go for that, but clients appreciate, if you charge them, they want to see a book. They don't really appreciate the 2-pager and a big invoice. So these contracts are really long, and you have to go through them and sift them. And they stacked 20 top lawyers in US against the AI, against the robot, and he outperformed them. He found 93% of clauses that were not favorable for its client, and the lawyers found like 83 or 85%. The big thing is, you'd say, okay, he found 93, they found 85, that's roughly good. Yeah, but it took him 16 seconds and it took them 6 hours. So that's the biggest difference. However, when they asked lawyers, as you can see here, they were happy. Like, they were really happy with that. Why were they happy? Because one of the reasons was because they're oblivious. We are very often oblivious of stuff. That can be one reason. The other thing is because, as one of them said, the robots are coming for the worst part of our job. Like, this is called the drudge work. This is something no one wants to do. You didn't go to college to go to always through the exact same clauses and look for like one word that might change the meaning. However, the question is, if the robots are able to do this drudge work now, will they maybe in 10 years be able to do the things that you don't consider drudge work and you think this is something I want to do? Maybe they will replace you that way as well. I found the Law Geeks is the thing that outperformed the lawyers. There's the Ross Intelligence, also very cool. You can check them out. I won't go through each of them, but really, really promising projects. Also, there is my favorite. This is the only, according to my knowledge, the only AI legal tech app. I don't know if you've heard of Do Not Pay. This Joshua Browder who created it, he was like 17 when he did it. The only reason he did it, he wanted to contest the parking tickets. Like, he really hated parking tickets and getting tickets in the traffic. And he wanted to do a site where you can just it's still operational. You pick a town, a country where you're from, a town, why you got the ticket, why you think it could be contested, it would automatically appeal the ticket. And he was able to take down around 160,000 tickets in a year or so. It's a robot. There's no lawyer behind it. You just go through it. I think it takes 4 clicks and several words from you to enter. And then he morphed into an app which now enables you to sue anyone. There's this conveniently placed button, like sue anyone, and you just press and it sues someone for you. I don't know how it works, because it doesn't support Croatia and I have no one in the States to sue yet. But it's quite popular and supposedly it works. So that's one thing that's also developed on the artificial intelligence side of things. Since we're at the blockchain conference, this is an actual example from Ukraine. They did a project on registering the switch of the ownership on property, and they did it through a blockchain. They did it through a smart contract, which was quite cleverly drafted in a way that when funds left the buyer, they were on a smart contract until the land book registry notified the contract. I'm not sure, they didn't disclose how the oracle worked, but the smart contract only released the funds to the seller once the buyer was registered as the owner. And it also was instructed to pay out the commission to the intermediator, the agent, to the realtor, and the tax to the tax office. You have the property transfer tax, similar as to Croatia. You have also these legal enforceable smart contracts. We're all talking about this at every legal conference. We are hoping for, let's say, some sort of a plug and play. I think this is what Accord is trying to do, where you could have different clauses and you would just drag and drop them and it would create a smart contract. There isn't one that's operationally, at least to my knowledge, still, but it's a promising idea. And finally, Materium bought an actual Stradivarius violin, and they want to tokenize it in a manner. It's posh to have a Stradivarius violin, but you have 9mm, and they're going to tokenize supposedly the artworks and properties, like expensive properties, and you can buy just a fraction of it. Now, what I will show you next is the problem with this thing is that this is really not happening. So, apart from this app that is really, like a joke app, you wouldn't use it to sue someone. Actually, this isn't really, at least in my everyday practice, I don't see AI and I don't see blockchain. It's really not something that is living yet, and it might not for some years. So we have tried to come up with some sort of solution, like what will happen in this bridge. Because the AI and blockchain will probably happen in 10 years or whatever in legal world, but what will happen in the meantime? So I'm not pitching you a project, this is just a concept, and I have a client who is a designer, so we have a name for it and the logo. We think there will be a digital platform that will be like, let's say, like an Uber for lawyers, where you will, when I first said it, someone from the crowd said, yeah, but why is that still not there? I really don't know. It would be a great thing if it existed, and you're free to create it. The idea is to reach the top law firms and just chat with them through like a WhatsApp messenger or a Telegram thingy, because I said these hearings and meetings are really obsolete. There is one NGO in the USA, which is one of the oldest. They say that 60% of all legal services are actually counseling. So without drafting any documents, without going to court, 60% of all the legal services provided in the world, and it's about 1,000 billion or 1 trillion industry. So 60% of that is pure counseling, so Q&A. So we think that you could create a WhatsApp-like messenger to which you could send documents to lawyer and receive some feedback from them. You could pay for it, like by credit card or crypto or whatever. And we thought, we are always encountered with the question like, why do you charge people by the hour? And it's really unfair when you look at it. It's similar to parking, he uses 10 minutes of your time and you still charge him an hour, because in many countries the legal lawyer's tariff, which is like an official price list, says that every started hour is an hour. So that's one thing that I think that could be changed. So in certain countries you have billable increments, like you could use this 6-minute increment, for instance, and if you had a messenger that can track when the chat started and when it ended, you can charge someone like 4 increments, which is 24 minutes. And imagine if we had this with Sonia. Imagine a pure 24 minutes of Q&A with a lawyer. You can really find out a lot. You can get a lot of answers in 24 minutes, and it would only cost you like $40 if you say that $100 is like an average fee of a lawyer per hour. So you could enter this session, chat to a lawyer, you could have a marketplace of lawyers, you could pick the one that is closest to you or knows your jurisdiction, or you fancy him the most, whatever. And then this platform could even be profitable if you charge like a commission of, let's say, 5% from every session that is done through its platform. Now, where we think this bridge could finally happen is if such a platform was created, someone created it, they could, at some point, if it became popular, it could introduce the AI in a manner that you have this, you can either have a robot checking your contract, or you can have a physical lawyer checking your contract. And if these smart contracts on a plug-and-play basis are created in a foreseeable future, you can have that as well. So that's it from me, and now you can have the 24 minutes of the Q&A. Let's Philip.
Show this to Croatian bar associations.
Did I show it?
Yes.
No, I already have too many problems with them. So, but as of 1st of January in 2019, I don't know if you're aware, lawyers are allowed to advertise. That's a change, because this wouldn't be possible without that option. So there are some restrictions, like you can't do it like in USA, like Better Call Saul, you know, I'm the best, and if you fall down the stairs, I'm your guy. No stuff like that, but you can advertise. So this which couldn't be possible beforehand, is now imposed by EU as a way to move the restrictions, remove the restrictions.
What type of a legal job do you do otherwise?
Sorry?
What type of a legal job do you do otherwise?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I don't know, my company represents almost solely companies, so 99% of my clients are companies, different. I have some IT and fintech companies, well, more than some, and some really different. I have really from people do different stuff, but most of my clients are companies.
How much of it would you say that you can actually solve via messages?
99%.
So with some chatbot solution.
No, chatbot. It's maybe I went too fast through it. It's talking to an actual lawyer, but through an app.
But can the artificial intelligence, like,
Once it becomes advanced, could replace it? Yes, of course. Especially because I've noticed it. Some of my clients said that some of my colleagues said that some of their clients are already reluctant to share stuff with lawyers through, like, a lot of lawyers have like Gmail accounts, and you have people that don't want to send their personal, private, or you know, important, sensitive business materials to Gmail. So I think there is a fraction or a part of the market that will appreciate an end-to-end encrypted messenger to talk to a lawyer. Also, it would bring high the accountability of lawyers, because you could have a transcript of what he actually said. Because when a lawyer gives you an oral advice and it's wrong, you're really screwed. You know, he just said, well, no, I never said it. You did it on your own.
but is it forbidden to have that type of apps? I mean, if there's...
I don't think so. I don't think so. I do think that different bars, like legal bars, would object to it. But it's not that different from, like, you have a Legal 500. That's the site that tells you what the best lawyers in each country are. You know, it's a very popular site, but it's a site where you pay to be listed. So if that is tolerated, I don't see why they wouldn't tolerate a thing that makes lawyers and legal fees more affordable.
But if you have only one bar association in country,
Yeah.
they can, like, do your VR.
Yeah, of course, but I always thought, okay, so this is not a real project, but I always thought Uber had an impossible mission, you know. Taxis were the bar, it was like a monopoly. And as I said, lawyers are a monopoly. You have to be a member of the bar in order to practice law.
Otherwise, it's criminal.
Otherwise, it's a criminal offense, yes, of course.
As I understand that the person who is helping another person with legal problem doesn't necessarily need to be a lawyer.
He doesn't. It's a criminal offense if he isn't.
In which jurisdiction is that?
Sorry?
In which jurisdiction is that?
In Croatia.
I think all.
No, it's not.
I think it's important to
I
get
can
paid.
go.
Yes, yes. Crucial. Sorry. Thanks.
Go to the highest court.
What he said. You need to get paid. So if you do it for free, it's not a criminal offense. But yeah, that's not really free yet. But yes, it's a criminal offense. I think it's stupid that it's a criminal offense. To be honest, it's not surgery, you know. It's not like you're operating on people. We always hear on coffees people who are, you know, experts, like laymen, who know how to help their fellow men get out of a parking ticket, you know. So I don't think that should be an offense, even if he gave him something, if he paid him for a coffee.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it doesn't work like that in our jurisdiction. But are you aware of legal hackers?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have it in Croatia?
Yeah, I was at the first or second instance we had. Yeah, three girls in Croatia are running it actually.
So it's still active.
Sorry?
It's still active.
It was last time I checked, but I haven't heard of a recent meetup, but I'm sure. What was the last one?
The last one was legal AI.
Yeah, right. That was like 2 months ago. Yeah, so they are.
There's also a Stanford, it's an open group actually, Stanford Codex group, and they have Zoom calls like once a month or even 3 times a month. And you can see the real applications that are using artificial intelligence for the legal solution. It's pretty awesome because those are all pretty much use cases that are functioning in real time already. And you have Ross Campbell, he's using blockchain for creating legal disputes and legal contracts. So far, smart contracts are not really legal contracts, but you have, for example, Ricardian contracts, and if you create a Ricardian contract, you can have a code instead of a contract. So it does fun.
You know, I know of examples. My position is that it's not really going to happen anytime soon.
Happening, right?
No, it's not going to enter the mainstream. How many lawyers do you know that practice this in everyday?
I mean, define mainstream.
Does an average lawyer use AI or blockchain?
No.
I think it's under 1% of people who.
But depends on what kind of a law you do. I mean, you.
Okay, I'm telling average, all the lawyers. I think it's less than 1% of them who know what is blockchain. Sorry?
Definitely not, because we're on the verge of it.
No, I'm pro for it. It's not that I don't agree. I just think that it's, you know, first of all, lawyers are hard to change. I don't know what's your experience, but they really they appreciate this state of matters as it is right now. So you only are us or you youngsters can you know make the change. But I was at a conference with the head of the Croatian bar, and you know he really wasn't up for it. Yeah, I'm moderating a panel. 4th of June, yeah, I think it is. We're wrapping up. Any questions? Everything was covered.
Everything is perfect.
Okay. Thanks for coming and see you some other time.